This is the Tudor Black Bay 32mm black dial. Now I bought this watch for my partner for Christmas 2021, and I wanted to go into some of the reasons why I think this is an absolutely quality luxury timepiece. I'd just like to start off with the build quality of this watch. So this watch feels very solid. It doesn't have a cheap, nasty rattle. The other thing is weight. So this watch, despite it only being 32mm, has a nice heft to it without being over the top. And I think weight's quite important when you're considering a luxury sports timepiece, because at least on a subconscious level, I've noticed through collecting a couple of watches that my mind seems to sort of subconsciously associate a nice heft to a sense of quality, reassurance, and reliability. Another aspect is the finishing on this watch. So this watch has a black polished bezel, brushed bracelet, and the lugs. I think it's got a nice sort of strip of black polishing on the bevel of the watch, and the sides of the case are polished as well, and the bracelet, very nice. Just looking at the markers, appear to be polished as well. So it's got a bit of pizzazz amongst the mutedness of the brushing. Now if I just move on to the clasp, a very nice brushed and black polishing there. If I just let go of the keep here and pull on the tab, which is friction, I think ceramic sort of balls there, and just has a satisfying click to it, and it feels very secure when you put that on your wrist. Now if I move on to the usability of this watch is constructed of stainless steel, which is important as some of the other precious metals such as gold are much softer and tend to scratch and dent a lot easier. Obviously the crystal is a sapphire crystal, which is more resistant to scratches. The other aspect of usability that adds to this watch is its water resistance of 150 meters via this screw down crown, which I'll just unlock here. And screw back in. The other reason I love this watch and I think it's so usable is because of the bezel. So despite it being polished, and when you have polishing it tends to show its scratches, but that just adds character to the watch, and it not having a aluminium bezel just adds to the usability of this watch. You don't have to sort of worry about scratching an aluminium bezel. And with all those aspects of usability, I look forward to my partner not being afraid to daily wear this watch and really sort of use this watch day to day and sort of take care of it, but not be scared to sort of wear it, and hopefully it will sort of develop some character, and she'll associate some nice memories with the added character to this watch. Just move on to the design of this watch. This is a 3-hander, very symmetrical, simple, elegant design. I think there's something to be said about the simplicity of this watch, with just simple sort of markers, without any sort of added sub-dials that crowd the spacing and symmetry of this watch. The bracelet of the watch has a sort of simple, elegant, utilitarian design with a tapering, sort of very gentle, graduated tapering from the head of the watch down to the clasp. Very nicely done. And this design is sort of very consistent with how we want to sort of portray ourselves. So, where we want to stay sort of under the radar. We're not into sort of the flashy bling bling, look at me hype. We just appreciate quality craftsmanship. Now, before I move on to how much I think you should pay for this watch, I just wanted to give you some wrist shots of how this wears on my wrist. Obviously, this 32mm is a little bit small for me. I'll probably look into possibly purchasing the 36mm, which is a bit more suitable to my wrists. Having said that, this is the Cartier Santos medium, and I was just sort of showing this for comparison's sake. I don't have the exact measurement of my wrist, but I'm hoping that me putting on different watches sort of gives you an idea of my wrist size and how that sort of relates to the size of the 32mm. This is my Omega Seamaster 42mm. It's my daily wearer, and at 42mm I only just sort of am able to suit this watch, I think. Putting the Tudor 32mm back on, I think this is very nice. A little bit small for me, but I think these days some watches are sort of too oversized, and I've converted to wearing sort of slightly smaller watches. I think sort of smaller watches are more sort of timeless and elegant. Alrighty, so in terms of how much I think you should pay for this watch, so just to start off, this watch retails for approximately, the different sizes sort of vary up and down a couple of $100 from $4,000, so approximately $4,000, that's Australian dollars, that's my local currency. And obviously I'm talking about this watch on a bracelet, which I would sort of always recommend. Look, I think if you pay around sort of the low 3,000, 3,100 up to 3,300, you'd be getting a pretty good deal. I think that's going to be quite hard to get new at an authorized dealer, but if you know what you're doing on the grey secondary market, you should be able to pick, if you're patient, you should be able to pick one of these up at the sort of low $3,000 mark. maybe the high 2000s for this 32mm version, which may not be as popular as the sort of 36 and 41mm versions. And the only reason I talk about that is because, I don't have money shooting out of my ass. So, if shit hits the fan and I need to sell and get out of this watch, given I don't beat the crap out of it, I'm probably going to get most of that money back, at least sort of 80% of it. And I know sort of value retention and investment is a bit of a sort of half taboo topic in regards to luxury watches, but I think it's important to sort of address because, just for the sake of information and informed decision making about your finances. Anyway, that's my review of this watch, and I know it wasn't sort of a detailed insight into the specifications and the technicalities of this watch, but you can find that elsewhere. I just sort of went on a bit of a ramble when I thought my insights, given that I've been collecting watches for a couple of years, may be helpful to someone that's considering buying this watch.